I want to ask you a question. Who's coaching you? Who's asking you the tough questions? Who's telling you, man, you're the common denominator to all of your issues and challenges? Who's telling you, man, all day long you become the magnetic pulse that attracts to you both good and bad? I want to be your life coach. I want to be the one that cheers you on to the finish line. I want to be the one that you ask the tough questions. And it doesn't mean that I have all the answers, but it means that you have a partner, someone who believes in you, not the you see right now, but the you can't imagine, the you that you are to become, the you were destined to be. I always say we both need the positive and the negative. It's not enough to have the knowledge of the matter, but we must have the wisdom as well. For wisdom settles it. And that's what I want to offer you as you join me on the Coach's Corner. I want to offer you the wisdom of the matter. Maybe it might be relationships, talking about our campaigns for more, for life, the dark room of our subconscious, our spiritual journey. Whatever it is, I want to be there to encourage you, to build you, to challenge you, to cheer you on to the finish line. I'm qualified to do this. Why? Because I'm you.
Well, welcome aboard. My name is Marcus Sillett, and assuredly I have my set of issues, both personally and professionally, but I bring to the table the wisdoms and the understandings from the scars, the battles, the wars in our minds, emotions, bodies, to overcome and live life with a sense of legacy and destiny. And I trust that I have earned the right to speak into your life. Today we're going to talk about the secret to TGKO Faith. The secret to TGKO Faith. I want to thank all those that are following me on Spreaker, those that are following me on iBroadcast TV, Ustream, YouTube. Thank you so much for those that are following on Twitter. For all of those of you that are following us on our website, particularly www.sibntelevision.com, on the community page, those that have joined, which is free of charge, thank you so very much. I want to also thank those that are watching on SIBN Television and also listening on SIBN Radio, www.sibnradio-by-SelectUSATV.com. And also, I'll be remiss without thanking also my Voicecast listeners along with my Spreecast listeners. I thank you so very much for your support worldwide as we move forward to leave legacy in life and to ensure that we are walking by destiny and purpose and not simply just living for pleasure. This is the Coach. And as I said again, I'll say it one more time, welcome aboard. Today we're talking about the secret to TGKO Faith. There are all kinds of faith in my view, but this TGKO is very specific. TGKO stands for the God kind of faith. The God kind of faith. But first, before we talk about that, I want to set what I would call the equalizer or the pre-qualifier about faith. The opposite of walking by faith is to walk by sight. To walk by sight is to walk by the sense realm. The sense realm. And if we was to break that down just, momentarily, the sense realm is the sensory perceptions or receptors that we have, that we use for many other things in life, such as the various gates, your eye gate, your ear gate, your ability to taste, feel, and so forth and so on. So to walk by faith is, let's just call that the right side, and then to walk by sight is the left side. And too many times we become so complicated in the definition of how and what it is to walk by faith in general that we forget that there is an opposite. So if you're not walking by faith, you are walking by sight. But then there are those who walk by faith, but their faith has not been upgraded. They have little faith, as the Bible talks about. This is not a Bible study program. It's inspirational, motivational to get you to the finish line. But we want to talk about faith today as it regards to those who believe in God, those who believe in the Bible. So as I said, you have the opposite, which is walking by your sense realm, but then you have those who have little faith. The measure of faith that they have been given has not been multiplied. It is very important that you understand that every man has been given a measure of faith, the ability to believe in something they cannot see, but that belief hinged on the corresponding works gives them the ability to have the title deed, though invisible, until the manifestation of that which they are hoping for and expect comes into manifestation. So it's very important that you understand the very basics. Once again, let me repeat. The opposite of walking by faith is simply walking by the sense realm. If I don't feel it, touch it, taste it, if I don't think it's reasonable enough, I don't and won't believe it. But if I have faith, now let's talk about the little faith. If I have a little faith, what will happen is that you'll have more charge than power, for instance. The example of that, if you buy a home today, generally most homes now come with a 110 line, 220 line, and may be another one because I'm not an electrician, but I'm just thinking about the 110s and the 220s. The 220s are usually for your air conditioning, your stove, your washer, dryer, and your 110s are for your average plugs for your computer and small appliances and lamps and things of that sort. So little faith would be trying to do something that you need a 220 line for on a 110 line. So you overload. You don't have enough power for the charge that you want to impose. And so those are the dynamics that we're faced with right now as we speak, is that we have either no faith because we're walking completely by the sense realm, or we have little faith because we're trying to do something on a 110 line that should be on a 220 line. All right. And or we're trying, another example of little faith is that you have the mouth to speak that you want a Mercedes, but you don't have the faith believe to maintain it once it comes, and hence your tires are bald. You cry every time you have to go to maintenance, but you're bawling in the eyes of friends and family, but in all reality you've overloaded yourself, because even the payment along with the maintenance payment and of course the storage payment, because you want to park your Mercedes where it can maintain some value, all of those things are very important. So when we talk about the God kind of faith, I always like to think that we start with zero. We start with nothing, because the God kind of faith takes nothing and makes something. And we are sometimes often found ashamed for some reason or another to walk out by faith starting from nothing, because the pressure from our friends, family, and constituency and associates leads us to believe that we must have some kind of bawling lifestyle if we say we have faith. But if you really think about it, everyone in the Bible that had faith started at zero. They started at zero. Noah was told to build the ark. He started at zero. It had never rained. God told Abraham he was going to have a son. It would be the family thereof of the son would be as the sand of the seashore, if you will. And 90 years later, depending on which theologian you subscribe to, here comes a son. Because at the time, the woman, Sarah, was barren and able to have a son, and it was culturally acceptable for him to have another woman that was already in the family environment, the handmaiden, if you will, to have that son by her, which was not the promise. You see, but the Bible says that Abraham was persuaded. And then all throughout the Bible, we see the stories from zero. And so my emphasis today is the God kind of faith starts from nothing. Absolutely no framework, no structure, no support, zero. And you know about that. You know about going into the kitchen and, coming up with a dinner, coming up with a lunch, coming up with a breakfast. And you hadn't went grocery shopping yet for whatever reason, whether you had the money, whether you ran out of money, whether you just didn't have the gas, whether you didn't have the time. and the children are crying out for something sustainable, something beyond cereal and milk, something beyond cream of wheat and juice, okay? And so you go into the kitchen and you take out the raw ingredients, and you begin to work as your grandmother used to work in the kitchen. And that's what faith does. Faith says, okay, let me take the raw ingredients and form something to reach or to accomplish the end result, to bring forth manifestation that will satisfy. Another aspect of the God kind of faith, we take the raw ingredients. We start from nothing. Number one, we take the raw ingredients. Number two. Number three, the God kind of faith speaks to nothing. I need some help right there. It speaks to the nothing, describes what the nothing will be, and the nothing becomes is birthed into something. And the continual speaking to the nothing that it must be something now causes the nothing to evolve into the something that the speaker determines. Need a little help right there. Hope you're following me along. So number one, the God kind of faith starts from nothing. Number two, the God kind of faith takes the raw ingredients. And number three, the nothing along with the raw ingredients becomes something continually evolving from the speaker's description. Jesus said one time, he said, well, I'm going to die and I will rise again in 3 days. The event had not happened. That's the nothing. The disciples were protective, rightly so, being human, but not rightly so considering purpose. The protective mean they didn't want him to die, but he told them, I will die. The event had not happened. That's your nothing. But then he continues to describe the nothing event that will become something, and it will manifest greatly among men. So he says to them, I'm going to die on the third day. I'm going to die, and then on the third day, not the second day, not the first day, not the fourth day, not the seventh day, not the 30th day, but on the third day, I'm going to rise again from the grave. And the story goes on later on that after his death, the disciples remembered these words, and they went to the gravesite, the tomb site, if you will, borrowed tomb, by the way. And the angel said, well, he is not here, for he has risen, as he said. Now, I want to caution you to be alarmed that oftentimes we have speakers, ministers, bishops, apostles, and other people who have great oratory skills that speak on these matters of faith. But too often, more than not, we are caught up in the study of others and not initiating our own study so that we may become a workmanship in the kingdom business. So it's essential that you don't take off with some inspirational sermon that someone gives or inspirational series teaching, but you do your own homework and you find out where you are in this picture. Are you walking by the sense realm? If so, then there's precautions regarding that. Are you walking but you have little faith? Little faith means you have not exercised that which you have, so it will not upgrade. It has not multiplied. If you want great faith, you have to have great thoughts regarding the outcomes that you desire, and those outcomes, particularly for the TGKO type of faith, must match purpose and destiny. It is not to say that humanly speaking, within reason and within the human capacity, that you cannot say things and things will not come to pass. It is definitely true that you can speak things and things will happen. The kid that wants to get high again, who has no money, ends up getting high at the end of the day, end of the week, end of the month, because he keeps talking about it to his buddies, and he ends up finding someone who will lend him, loan him, give him, however you want to describe it, some weed so that he can get high. Well, again, that's not the type of faith that we're talking about. But that is an example of sorts of how faith in the most generic form can work on the human scale. But we're talking about the God kind of faith, hence once again, that starts from nothing, that takes the raw ingredients of something, and that gives the outcome a description of how it shall and will manifest. Even Jesus gives even a schedule. After I die, you count 3 days after, and I will have risen from the grave. The God kind of faith gives descriptions. I may not know what, where, how, and I may not know all the who, what, where, how, and why, you know what I'm saying. But the description is at the end of the day. A story is told about a person who wanted a car, and they said, well, I want a car with no payments. And another person said, well, I want a car, but I just want to be able to afford the payments. But at the end of the day, the bottom line is that you want transportation to get back and forth to work, back and forth to school, back and forth home. So that's an example of an end description. The end result is that I want healthy, affordable transportation. Now, we get into these logistics where we say, I don't want any payments. But see, when you start saying those things, it may require an upgrade to your TGKO faith. I'm not talking about any other kind of faith right now. We're talking about the God kind of faith that takes nothing, speaks continually into it with a description in mind, with an outcome in mind, with a manifestational result in mind, and it turns into something, and the continuous speaking and the description held dear causes that which is nothing to evolve into the something that is described by the speaker, having aligned it with purpose and destiny, and thus the result is here. It does not mean that we cannot, apart from God and apart from biblical principle, speak things and they come to pass. There are many people that are impressed with their ability to speak and things come to pass. But you shouldn't be impressed with that, because the other secret to the TGKO type of faith is that it stands the test of time. Remember what I told you about Noah? Well, those of you that are Bible students know that it took a long time, just to be safe that I don't misquote the days, the years, and the months before the rain came. It took a long time for the rain to come. We look at Joseph. It took a long time from pit to prison, from prison to palace. We look at Abraham. It took a long time before the manifestation of the promised son. And on and on and on. And so those of us who are into the quick fix speaking faith, we're not talking about that today. You go on right on ahead and impress your friends with what you can achieve. But at the end of the day, we know that you won't be maintaining those things, or you'll be maintaining those things with great struggle, because you don't have TGKO faith. You're just using your measure of faith to get by, to impress. We're not talking about that today. We're talking about the God kind of faith. Folks are trying to get up and get at life and trying to leave legacy and walk in destiny and fulfill purpose, and they want to know how to do it. Well, this is how you do it. You start from nothing. Whatever the project, whatever the desire, the dream, you start at zero. And you take the raw ingredients. Now let's go back. What are the raw ingredients of faith? Hope. Everyone has, I will take that back. Everyone doesn't have hope, but most people have hope. Hope, the expected end. And hope deferred makes the heart sick, Proverbs says. Hope deferred makes the heart sick. So hope is one of the raw ingredients if not the main raw ingredient. It's like hope is to faith what flour is to bread. And there are other, I don't have the time to go into other raw ingredients, but I'm just going to give you the main one. Hope is the main ingredient. Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for. Hoped. Now, that word hoped, H-O-P-E-D, indicates that there was a continuation without interruption of expectancy for an end that now requires faith step in at ground zero and begin building through speaking and through belief systems to orchestrate an outcome that will be guaranteed to last. Now faith is the hope of, now faith is the substance of things hoped for. Not that I just hoped about, I just hoped it, if I could say that. Not that I just wished it. This hoped for, the phrase, substance of things hoped for. I've been hoping for a better outcome all along. So now I realize and have come to the conclusion that I'm going to now use my TGKO faith and start at ground zero. And don't be discouraged about starting at ground zero. Don't be discouraged about the time frame that it may take a long time. Don't be discouraged by that, because after a while, faith, the multiplicity of faith quadruples as it is used, and the science of faith cannot be dictated by human behavior. The science of faith, because then when you factor in other raw ingredients, I don't have time to go into it today, but for an example, the angels are always on assignment to look for, listen for words that match destiny and purpose, to carry those words, as it were, to the Father as proof that there is faith in the land, or at the address where you live. Remember, Jesus said oftentimes he had found no faith. He had found no faith in the city, or no faith, in a region. You see, so, but I like that now faith is the substance of things hoped for. That means I've been contemplating a different outcome. I've been contemplating a different expectation. I've been thinking about it. You see, as a man thinketh, so is he. So if you really want to go back and break hope down, hope really started in the mind. It started in the heart. I want a different outcome. I want a different manifestation, and I've been thinking about it. Not just thought about it, but I've been thinking about it. So now I've concluded that I must now use my faith, my TGKO faith, not just any faith, not the standard faith, not the standard human faith, but I'm talking about faith in God and the God kind of faith. Now, here's the last thing that I want to share with you, that if you say that you're going to use, or if you step out on what you claim to be the TGKO faith, it's going to be tested. I don't have time to go into it now. Maybe I'll pick this up in another session, but the bottom line is this: that faith has to have certain ingredients for it to be the God kind of faith. At the end of the day, when that mother goes in there to make that meal, she may start out with flour, but that's not where she ends. That is not where she ends. You cannot take faith alone and move out with just flour. You have to have more than that. And so the key here is that the other ingredients that are required to round faith off causes it to be more authentic, and the results to be lasting, the manifestation to be sure, where there is no sorrow added to the process, because it was the TGKO type of faith. That's my time. That is my time, ladies and gentlemen. I thank you so much. Producers here are flagging me. I got to get ready to get out of here. But listen, for more, stay tuned. This is the coach. Again, don't forget to follow us on Spreaker, Facebook, and beyond. We appreciate you All of those of you that are following us on Twitter, Facebook, and beyond, we appreciate everything that you are doing to keep in touch with us. By all means, keep it locked right here on SIBN Radio so that we can keep you upgraded and informed as you move forward in life, fulfilling destiny and purpose. Don't be ashamed to have to start from nothing to get something, and don't forget that if you want something, you must have an accurate description, and don't forget that after you give it the accurate description, it's going to be tested. It's going to be tested. Do you have brotherly love? Do you have self-control? Do you have balance in the mixture of the ingredients of the TGKO faith that you are seeking to exercise for the outcome that you seek to enjoy? Until next time, take care of yourself. We interrupt this program to simply say thank you for your listenership here on SIBN Radio. We do not take what you're giving to us for granted. By all means, we invite you to be a part of our family in a deeper way. You can visit our websites, www.sibntelevision.com. You'll see a community page at the top there, and you can join free of charge with your email and share your thoughts, pictures, and so much more right there on the site. And for those of you that would like to listen more regularly to our block programming, you can visit www.sibnradio-by-selectusatv.com. We're now looking for interns for the SIBN networks, and there is no shortage of work that needs to be done. Simply email us your bio or resume to globalcoverage@selectusatv.info. New programming is always a consideration here at the networks, and we invite you to share your ideas, concepts, or vision. As we move forward with a global multimedia platform, we expect great things. We now want to return you to your regularly scheduled program. And again, from our hearts to yours, thank you. You're listening to SIBN Radio on the Select USA TV iBroadcasting Network. You're listening to SIBN Radio.